let's break the mold. Chasing the stories yet untold. Passion ignites like a blazing fire. Knowledge takes us higher, higher. Out of the box where the wild ones play, we see the game in a whole new way. Living loud, hearts in motion. Sports with soul, pure devotion. The field's alive with endless dreams. We're more than stats, we're the in-between. A slam dunk thought, a touchdown mind. Out of the box every time. No limits, no change, no walls to climb. We're rewriting the rules in real time. Out of the box where the wild ones play, we see the game in a whole new way. Living loud, hearts in motion. Sports with soul, pure devotion. No limits, no chains, no walls to climb. We're rewriting the rules in real time. Out of the box where the wild ones play, we see the game in a whole new way. Living loud, hearts in motion. Sports with soul, pure devotion. Every shot's a story, every cheer's a spark. Under the lights we make our mark. Beyond the scoreboard, beyond the lines. Out of the box, redefining the grind. The grind. Out of the box where the wild ones play, we see the game in a whole new way.
What's up, Raider Nation? The Bat Fry, Raider Batman here. Kenny Fry, welcome back to the Silver and Black Lair. It's been a while. Glad to be back. I was on a little bit of a hiatus there. I kind of talked about that a little bit when I did the Bat Cave, but I'm not going to go into it too much here. If you want to know where I was or what I was doing, just go ahead and check out the Bat Cave in the first couple minutes. If you're not a Mets fan or a baseball fan, the first few minutes there, and I kind of give it a rundown as to what was going on in the wonderful world of the Batman, the Bat Fry. So, all right, today's show is brought to you by our good friend, your good friend, everybody's good friend, Jason Fine, attorney, Big Al. You can reach Big Al at 1-800-HURT-123. That's 1-800-HURT-123. Jason Fine specializes in motor vehicle accidents, slip and fall, workman's comp, and personal injury claims. He has 3 office locations conveniently located throughout Pennsylvania and the Garden State of New Jersey. His office in New Jersey is located in Cherry Hill on 3 Greensward Lane. The phone number there is 856-209-5258. And he has 2 offices in Pennsylvania, one on the east side and one on the west side. The one on the east side is located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on 1628 JFK Boulevard, Suite 2120. The phone number there is 267-588-2980. And on the west side of Pennsylvania, there in the Steel City of Pittsburgh, on 500 Grant Street, Suite 2900. The phone number there is 412-365-8151. Jason Fine, attorney, Big Al. All right. Good old Big Al. I like saying that. It's been a while since I got to say that, but here we are. Good stuff. And be sure to follow us here Out of the Box Sports Entertainment on Facebook, YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, everywhere. We're everywhere. OOT Box Sports, OOT Box Sports SE as well on X. Me on X, SB_Lair_OOTBE. And also I have a new YouTube handle. I kind of switched it. It used to be the Bat Cave OOTBS, but it's a little bit more than the Bat Cave. The Bat Cave is my baseball show, so I figured I'd just change it to the Bat Fry Pods. Once again, is it the Bat Fry Pods? And check out my YouTube page as well. Like, follow, hit that notification bell on the Out of the Box Sports YouTube page, OOT Box Sports, and also my YouTube page. Appreciate it very much. You can also see Out of the Box Sports Entertainment on Facebook. So check them out. All right, let's kick this shindig off here. Enough of yammering and all that good stuff. I want to talk a little bit of Raiders roster stuff. Uh, what their depth chart might look like right now. It's not 100% definite until the snap of that first game against the New England Patriots in New England coming up this upcoming Sunday. Actually, football's here. Thursday night, first game of the season. I believe it's the Eagles and Cowboys, and then Sunday afternoon or morning, depending on if you're the West Coast. It's the morning over here on the East Side. 1 p.m. start. Raiders Patriots. Exciting stuff. It's every season kind of going with renewed hope. This year's our year. This year's the year we turn it around. 2.5 decades almost of nonsense. There's a couple of years in between there where the Raiders were playoff bound or had decent teams and just missed playoffs or what have you. But 90% of the last 20 plus years has been just absolute trash, absolute garbage. And hopefully this year is a little bit different with Pete Carroll as your head coach, John Spytek, GM, Chip Kelly, OC, Patrick Graham, still your defensive coordinator. So we'll go from there. So after training camp was all done, I don't know how much you people actually watch. You good fine folks out there actually watch preseason games. I watch them a little bit. I don't put a whole lot of stock into the preseason games. It's a lot of vanilla type stuff, offensive, defensively. When I do watch preseason games, I want to see the younger guys play, guys playing for those roster spots and whatnot, or position battles. So there was a lot of intrigue actually this year with the preseason games, just because of roster spots. Backup quarterback, offensive line. Jackson Powers Johnson, thought he was the starting center going in. Well, he thought wrong. They're playing him at guard. So is he a guard now, or are they just messing with him? So he's battling out at guard with Alex Kappa, who actually didn't play, wasn't actually at practice until I think the final few days of preseason camp. So who knows what's going on there? And just other guys, fighting for roster spots. The draft picks, late round draft picks, especially. Tommy Millott, what's he going to be? Cam Miller, all that good stuff. Is he the number 2, the number 3 quarterback? Tight end room, the tight end room in the preseason will actually look really, really, solid. Who can break in there and possibly steal some snaps away from Michael Mayer. Mayer's your number 2, and who's gonna go be your number 3 tight end? 'Cause you need 3 tight ends, and who's gonna steal snaps from Mayer? And that's a big thing right there. Defensively, defensive tackle. What's going to happen there? The Christian Wilkins, released. I haven't really spoken about that at all. I'll get into that a little bit. And a defensive secondary. What's going to happen there? Safeties. A whole lot of turnover in the defensive secondary. I talked about this past episodes of the Silver and Black Lair when the Raiders made all those moves, releasing or not re-signing, certain guys, Hobbs and all that good stuff, and what the secondary might look now. As I have a copy of the as of today depth chart. Again, that could change easily. So, but anyway, getting to the guys that were waived or released to get that roster down to 53-man roster. I didn't write everybody down. I jotted down a couple names that intrigued me. So waived or released. So if the players were waived, it's they have less than 4 years. Is it 4 years and less? I think it's 4 years and less service time in the NFL. Over 4 years, they get released. So waived, 4 years and under, over 4 years released. So they're a free agent. They can sign with anybody. The waived guys, they go to the waiver wire and they can be picked up by other teams and whatnot. Waived / released, Antonio Mafi. Antonio Mafi, I always want to put an N there. There's no N. Antonio Mafi, guard. He was brought in this camp to fight for a roster spot, to kind of push people. I was kind of surprised that he was released, but he does return on the practice squad. Sincere McCormick, a tough battle there in the running back room. That was another position battle. You have Ashton Genty, Raheem Mostert, and Raheem Mostert missed a big chunk of training camp due to some personal issues. So what happens there? Does he fall off or who steps up and takes reps from him. Nobody's going to take reps from Genty. He's your number one. He's your first round draft pick, and all that good stuff. We got Joe Sullivan here with a comment. He says, ready to see Max Crosby hit some QBs that may cause some personal injuries to Big Al. Yes, it very well maybe. And with the Raiders, Joe, with the Raiders being in Philadelphia this year, who knows? Maybe Jalen Hurts might have to see Big Al. No, I'm just messing around. You can check Joe out on the Sully Squad 4for4 Philly Talk, and also the Old School Show, amongst many other things. I think the NFC East War Room perhaps as well. So all that good stuff. Thanks for checking in, Joe. So yeah, the running back room, huge competition there. Sincere McCormick, a lot of people just shoot him in. They push Zamir White out right away, just because how poorly Zamir White did last year. And then there were some factors into that. It was offensive line issues last season. Zamir White issues. He lost a step last year. He put on a bit of weight, some muscle last season, expecting to get the bulk of the carries, and he wasn't hitting his spot. The offensive line wasn't blocking all that well. The scheming, none of it fit last season for Zamir White. He comes into this season, trimmed down, slimmed down, and so we see a quicker Zamir White. We see a more dynamic Zamir White. And that was a difference. That's why we see Sincere McCormick being released, and injury issues with Sincere McCormick. Dylan Labe or Labe, however you want to say it. Dylan Labe, he was another guy that was on the bubble. You could have released Dylan Labe and kept Sincere McCormick. Dylan Labe does bring a good bit to the return game, so there's that. So Sincere McCormick, he's waived, and he actually catches on to San Francisco 49ers practice squad. So good for him on that, but a bit of a bummer. Here was a couple surprises right here. Tommy Millott, who was a 6th round draft pick this year, was a kid out of Montana State, who a lot of people were kind of curious when the Raiders drafted him, and the Raiders kind of let the cat out of the bag. Then they said, we're keeping quiet about drafting this guy because we want anybody else going there and trying to get him, because he's going to be like a hybrid thing, a wide receiver / quarterback. He's going to be a dynamic athlete, and then they waive him. So Cam Miller, who was got a lot of playing time at quarterback in the preseason games. A lot of people were high on him, thought he would take over as the backup quarterback ahead of AOC. After the first appearance in the preseason, not so fast. He kind of came back down to earth after that first game, and kind of showed that he's a little bit green behind the ears. But he was released or waived. Laki Tassi, who is a kid, I think out of, I want to say New Zealand or Australia, I can't remember. But he was what the hell do they call that? A foreign signing. So it doesn't count against your roster. But he was waived, and they actually brought him back on the practice roster because he needs a good bit more work. But he's just a big dude. He really is 6 foot, I think 6'8", 360, 370 pounds, something like that. Just a monster of a dude. So there's a lot of potential there. And if the Raiders can get him on the right track, watch out. He could be a force to tackle. Trey Taylor, he was waived. I think it's a waive for him. Greedy Vance as well. Kadir Ismail. The reason that this was a bit of a surprise, well, not a surprise, but the reason I kind of wrote Kadir Ismail down, not only because the tight ends, were so dynamic actually this preseason, but also it's the son of Qadri Ismail, the missile, and also of course you remember the Raiders had Raheem Ismail, the Rocket Ismail. That would be his uncle. So just a little bit of lineage there. Sam Webb, a butt of all Raider fans' jokes. He gets knocked a whole lot. So he was released. That's not a surprise there. Terrell Edmonds, that was a little bit of a surprise. It seemed like they were high on him. And Philip Dorsett, the second wide receiver. That wasn't too surprised, but it was just a name that's recognizable. But they brought him in as some wide receiver depth for the preseason, and they ended up releasing him. So the guys that were signed to the practice squad, we have Alex Bachman, who was waived during the initial waves to cut the roster. Chris Collier, running back, also same thing. Terrell Edmonds, like I said, there is surprised that he was waived / released. He's brought back on the practice squad, and from everything I've heard from other podcasts, they're expecting him to still get a lot of burn, a lot of playing time. So when the teams make their roster announcements on Saturdays. Don't be surprised if you don't see Terrell Edmonds up there week in and week out. Being on the practice squad, but then still joining the team at the games and dressing and stuff like that, and possibly getting in there at safety. Defensive end, Jafari Harvey. He was signed to the practice squad. Wide receiver, Shedrick Jackson. That's Action Jackson, of course. Matt Jones, linebacker. Trayvon May, defensive tackle. Antonio Mafi, brought in on the practice squad at guard. Cam Miller, practice squad quarterback. Get some work for him. And Aiden O'Connell, he did go down with an injury, so he's on the injured reserve. They're expecting the return in 6 to 8 weeks or whatever. But with what Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly had to say about Aiden O'Connell is when Aiden O'Connell's in there, they have to slow the offense down, and that's not good. The Chip Kelly offense is meant to go fast, and if you had to slow it down for the quarterback, that's not good at all. So Cam Miller, this is his shot. It really is. And I'll talk about the Raiders' backup quarterback situation here in a minute. Albert Okwe Bunham, I can't say his last name. I can't. Tight end, Albert. We'll call him Al. Tight end, he was signed to the practice squad. Carter Runyon, tight end, signed to the practice squad. Wide receiver, Justin Shorter. Laki Tassi, like I said, the foreign Raiders foreign prospect, doesn't count against the roster. So he's brought onto the practice squad, offensive tackle. Trey Taylor, brought back on safety. He was a Raider draft pick a few years ago, I believe, if I remember correctly. Greedy Vance, a lot of great things I heard about Greedy Vance throughout the preseason. I listened to different podcasts and seen some different write-ups talking about Raider roster stuff. And so Greedy Vance, he's brought back for some cornerback depth on the practice squad. Dalton Wagner, tackle, some offensive line depth, and JT Woods at safety. So those are your practice squad guys that were brought back. And some of those, good. It's some good stuff there. And I'm not sure 100% how the practice squad works. I do feel like other teams can pick from your practice squad and offer a player a contract. I don't remember if you can then offer that same player a contract just to keep them, but then they have to go to your 53-man roster. I'm not sure how that works. I'm really not. And but yeah, sometimes you kind of find a diamond in the rough kind of thing there. So all right. So some other moves. The Raiders claimed Brennan Jackson. He was waived by the Rams. So the Raiders claimed him off of waivers. I was just actually listening to a podcast a little bit ago talking about Brennan Jackson, how they were excited to get him. Great attitude, high motor kind of guy. So they were happy to get him. And they also signed offensive lineman Stone Forsythe, and he's a Seattle Seahawks. So he has he's familiar with Pete Carroll and all that good stuff. Pete's familiar with him. But that also means they had to trim somebody out, so that they waived Thayer Mumford, and that kind of surprised me. Thayer Mumford, a Raider draft pick from a few years ago. Not that he was a great offensive lineman. He had moments. He was serviceable. He was okay, but just never really stood out. Never took that next step to be a solid starting offensive lineman. So offensive tackle / guard, because I believe he did both. So he was waived. So that was a little bit surprising. They also claimed safety Tristan McCollum from the Eagles, and they waived Thomas Harper. So another Eagle, of course, in the Raiders front office. We have different front office guys. I'm not sure who's connected to who, but that are connected to the Eagles, connected to the Steelers, of course, connected to Sea Chickens, connected. I don't know if we have anybody connected to the Rams or not. I don't remember hearing that. But yeah, just different guys connected to different organizations, different teams that are familiar with some of these people. When you see them bring some of these people in, it makes a little bit of sense. So now with the Aiden O'Connell going down injured in the final preseason game, I think it was the final preseason game, fracture in his wrist. He's on the IR. I think he's designated to return 6 to 8 weeks or something like that. Who's your backup quarterback? It can't be Cam Miller. The Raiders don't have the confidence that Cam Miller can come in a tough situation and get you a win or just be serviceable, just be competent against an NFL defense, not a preseason defense, an NFL regular season defense. So so they go out there and they make a trade. They traded for Kenny Pickett, and that's probably one of the last names I thought I would hear. I didn't even realize Kenny Pickett was still in the league. Good for him. Good for Kenny Pickett, sticking around. Drafted by the Steelers back in, I think it was 2022. He was there at 22, 23. Then he was traded to the Eagles. I believe in 24. He played there at 24 with the Eagles as a backup. I don't know if he was second string or third string. He was probably second string. I don't know. But with the Steelers, 2022 rookie season, played in 13 games. 12 of those games started, 7-5 record, 63% completion percentage, 2,404 yards, 7 tutties, 9 picks, 237 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns there. 2023 with the Steelers, 12 games started, 7-5 record once again, 62% completion percentage, 2,070 yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 54 yards rushing, 1 touchdown there. And last year with the Eagles, 5 games, 1 game started, probably the final game of the season to give the starters a rest on their run to the Super Bowl. 59.5% completion percentage, 291 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 16 rush yards, 1 touchdown there. So Kenny Pickett has had some success as a starting quarterback. So that's somebody you want to see there, and he's mobile. And that's the one thing with Chip Kelly offense. You want a good mobile quarterback, but I don't know where Kenny Pickett's head is. It seems like Geno Smith, it seems to be a little bit more cerebral, but I could be wrong. I could be way wrong about that. I'm not sure. But being a Pitt fan, I watched Kenny Pickett play a little bit on the television, of course. And, he was a big play guy. He was a big time, stud, but that was college. And when he went to the Steelers, me being a Pennsylvania guy, I know some Steeler fans, and it seemed like Kenny Pickett still thought he was big shit on campus, and kind of got that welcome to the NFL moments, and just didn't learn from it. And when it came to the Steelers signing Russ Wilson and I can't think of the other lad's name from the Bears, but it doesn't even really matter. But when he went ahead and signed them, Kenny Pickett was pissed. He wasn't happy about it. He made it known, and instead of going out there and competing, he kind of requested a trade. I believe he requested a trade, and the Steelers were more than happy to oblige, and they sent him packing to Philly. So and now me being closer to Philadelphia than Pittsburgh, I don't remember hearing a whole lot about Kenny Pickett, the locker room guy or anything like that, which is good. You don't want to hear about your backup quarterback, saying this or saying that in the media or what have you. So yeah, he knew his role there. He knew his place. Then he was shipped off to Cleveland before the season, and the Raiders were able to trade for him. They gave up a 5th round pick, which is good. Yeah, I'm happy with this move. I really am. I'm sure there were a lot of groans and head scratching going on when the Raiders traded for Kenny Pickett, but I'm happy with it. You bring a guy that's a backup. Let's be real here. I don't think Kenny Pickett's a starting quarterback in the NFL any more than what Aiden O'Connell is. But I think he knows his role, especially with this team. He's Geno Smith's backup, and if called upon, go out there, run the offense, make some plays, be smart with the ball. So. He's gritty. He's tough. My alarm's going off. He's gritty. He's tough. He's tough as nails. So that's one thing that's never been questioned about Kenny Pickett. So yeah, I'm happy with it, and I feel like he can run a good Chip Kelly type offense. I was listening to I think it was Locked On Raiders, and they happened to mention that Kenny Pickett's offensive coordinator. Actually, Kenny Pickett did in an interview mention that his offensive coordinator was. It is good friends with Chip Kelly, so there's a lot of connections there. Some familiar type thought processes is what I'm trying to say without saying the word familiarity. I can't say it. It's impossible. I don't know how people say it. I listen to people say it all the time. I cannot say it. My fat tongue, I cannot get out of the way of saying that stupid word. But anyway, moving on from there. Another big signing the Raiders made was signing Amari Cooper. In the offseason, That was a talk. Should the Raiders go out there and sign another veteran wide receiver? And Cooper's name was floated out there, and the Raiders kind of just stood pat. And now as we moved along through preseason training camp, lo and behold, the Raiders do bring Amari Cooper in for a little bit of wide receiver help. And I don't know how much he was needed as a production kind of guy. I think he'll be more helpful as an experienced kind of guy. Talking to those guys, Dante Thornton Jr., who was drafted this year, Jack Besh, who's a lot of people are high on. Talking to those guys, and maybe even a Trey Tucker, who's been in the league a couple of years, still looking for his place, and just bringing that experience, and maybe bringing some trade secrets or what have you. Take these guys under his wing and kind of just bless them with some knowledge. I don't know. He might be more worthwhile doing that. So 2023 with Cleveland. Let's go to last year, 2024 with Cleveland and Buffalo. 14 games, 85 targets, 44 catches, 547 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns. So a very big down year for Cooper, considering that in 2023 with Cleveland, 15 games, 1,250 yards receiving, 5 touchdowns. And just in 2022, 17 games, 1,160 yards, 9 touchdowns. So he had back-to-back years there with well over 1,000 yards receiving. And then last year, just half of that. I'm not sure the injury status. I do know he was banged up a little bit last year. I don't know if that had anything to do with it or just didn't fit well in Buffalo before he was traded to Cleveland. I'm not really sure. So, or from Cleveland to Buffalo. I'm sorry, from Cleveland to Buffalo. So yeah, I'm just not really sure. But it's he got to play with some with a top flight quarterback up there in Buffalo. So that should help. And now he's here with Geno Smith, and I'm not saying Geno Smith is a top flight quarterback, but he's not terrible. Geno's kind of proved his worth over the last few seasons up in Seattle, and we expect more of the same. Smart with the football. Keep those interceptions low. A lot of yards passing. A little bit of mobility. Not necessarily rushing yards, but just mobility. So that's exciting. But with Amari Cooper coming in, I think of right before that. Yeah, it's right. Well, actually, the same day. They were both announced the same day. Jakobi Meyers requested a trade. Now he's been asking for a new contract. Hasn't held out. He showed up to everything that he's supposed to be there for. Worked hard. Put his time in this offseason and during these training camps. He just wants a new contract. He's on his final year. No more. I don't think there's any more guaranteed money. So he just wants the new contract. And he's been nothing but a blessing, for the Raiders since being brought here with Josh McDaniels, when Josh McDaniels brought him here. And you look back at 2023, 71 catches, 807 yards receiving, 8 touchdowns. And then that's when Devontae Adams was here. So he's sharing, catches and stuff like that. 2024, 87 catches, 1,027 yards, 4 touchdowns. And you figure he's sharing with Brock Bowers. He and Brock Bowers, 2 guys over 1,000 yards receiving. That was awesome. So Jakobi Meyers, he catches everything as well. He catches everything. So should the Raiders pay him? I think they do. Go 2 years or 3 years. For me personally, I say 2 years. Go 2 years. Make it $50 million. 50 million. Make it about 25 a year. A nice signing bonus or whatever. And go from there. Sign him somewhere in between 20 to 25 million. I think he'd be happy with that. Right now, I think this season he's set to make 11, which is a nice chunk of change. I don't think anybody out there would turn down $11 million. But with the production that he's put out for the Raiders last 2 seasons, with what he's had throwing him the ball, he deserves it. I really do think he's been a good locker room guy. You don't hear a peep out of him. And he's out there busting his ass and catches everything. Just pay the guy. The Raiders have the cap space. They have the money for it. I get they don't want a long-term deal or whatever. They drafted 2 receivers this year that they're kind of high on. And, and Amari Cooper's a 1-year deal. So it's not like he's going to be around for a while. But just sign him for 2 years. Sign him for the 2 years. If it has to be guaranteed, it has to be guaranteed. I think you'll get your money's worth out of him. I really do. Mark Davis, John Spytek, Tom Brady, whoever, get the job done. Give the man his money, show him the money, get this done, and let's get this out of the news. And if they do trade him, they trade him. Just do it. Do it now. Don't wait any longer. Get it over with. Do it now. And yeah, I heard some rumors that looking at the Patriots, the Patriots were interested in him. That's where he came from, New England. He also has he's very familiar with Josh McDaniels, who's I believe their offensive coordinator once again. And so why not? If there's something there. But also the Patriots did release Jabril Peppers. They released him, so I believe he's still out there. I think so. I didn't see him being signed anywhere. I could be wrong about that. So if you go out there, you sign Jabril Peppers. Maybe you don't need to really trade Jakobi Meyers away to get a Jabril Peppers, but Jabril Peppers, decent player. Has had a very good career here in the NFL with the Patriots and whatnot. The Raiders do need secondary help. Sign him. There was also some talk of Jakobi Meyers, possibly 49ers being interested, kicking the tires on him. I did see something pop about the Broncos, and I said to myself, better not. And I checked it out, and it was just a what if scenario kind of thing. If the Raiders trade him to the Broncos, I'd tell you, freak the hell out anywhere but the Broncos. You should never trade a guy interdivision, to begin with. First off, but the goddamn Denver Broncos, I hate the Broncos so much. So, Guy Ebert, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. That's just how I feel. He's a Bronco fan, and we work together, and I always have to apologize when I curse his Broncos. Hate the Broncos so much. So, all right. So moving on from that, we also early in the off season, or not off season, before preseason, came about, the Raiders releasing oh, I can't think of his name right now. Why can't I think of his name? I'm gonna look it up here real quick. The defensive tackle. For some reason I mentioned his name earlier. Christian Wilkins. That's it. Christian Wilkins. There we go. Jesus, criminy. Holy cow! Don't get old, people. Do not get old. Oh, I'm knocking stuff over here now. Do not get old. Christian Wilkins. I'm going to talk about that here real quick. So the Raiders signed him to that huge contract, and everybody was super hyped. Get him there at defensive tackle next to Max Crosby. A healthy Malcolm Kuntz. The Raiders wreak all sorts of havoc on the defensive line, an already solid defensive line. And first season in, you saw some glimpses of it, and it just he gets injured. I think it was Liz Franks or whatever. Liz Frank injury. It is what it is, but it was a bummer. But then you look to this year, like, okay, he's going to be healthy. He's going to be right. We're going to get him out here, and we're finally going to see what he can do with Max and all that good stuff. And no, he's there's rumors of him showing up to off-season workouts in a walking boot and all that stuff. Like, how is this man still recovering from this surgery? He should have been recovered ages ago. Especially just a few months before that, you saw him without a walking boot. doing different types of sports-related type things, and now all of a sudden he's in a walking boot. So what happened? Was it a re-aggravation of the injury? Was the injury isn't healed correctly yet? Is it was he doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing and he re-aggravated the injury? I don't know. I don't know. I heard all sorts of rumors. So they already weren't happy about it. They also told him that they wanted him to have another surgery on it to correct it, and he refused. And I guess they talked about it back and forth, and he kept refusing. He said he's not getting another surgery. And so I don't know if it was talked about releasing him then, but then there was also a locker room incident where he, for some reason, unknown reason, playfully kissed another man on the forehead. So I'm not in the locker room with these guys. I don't know what playfully is, what joking around is, who you can joke around with and who you cannot joke around with, but it ended up being an HR issue and the man gets released. So with that being said, I know I would not like another man, giant man, and I'm a giant man. If I was a giant, these guys are giant people. I'm assuming he kissed a defensive lineman on the forehead, or a lineman. Maybe it was an offensive lineman. The Giants, and he didn't like it, and I wouldn't like it. Like what the hell are you doing, dude? Get out of here. And it's not, yeah. So it's not being like like phobic or anything like that. It's just don't want to be kissed in the forehead by some big dude. I don't know, by anybody, by any dude. It's it's weird. Why like I don't know the circumstances leading up to that, but it's weird. It's asinine. Why even do it? Why are you doing that? What do you get out of that besides trouble? And it's probably something to the point where they're probably messing with this guy, ragging on him, and Christian, maybe came over, busting his ass, and oh, I'm sorry, and gave him a kiss on the forehead. I don't know. I could see that being a scenario, and just that guy's pissed off already, and now you have some dudes, monster dude's manly lips on your forehead. That'd piss me off something fierce. So I don't know what the circumstances behind it were or who it was. I do know Adam Butler came out and did speak about it. So there was some speculation that he kissed Adam Butler on the forehead. I don't know. That's something that's Adam Butler's a big dude. Very good defensive tackles. The Raiders re-signed this year. Very good pass rushing defensive tackles. Had a couple career seasons now with the Raiders since coming over, and yeah. So so the whole I haven't heard anything since then, since the Adam Butler comments. I haven't heard anybody come out and say this is actually what happened, and it's kind of a bummer because to be honest, I really want to know, what the whole circumstances were. But either way, it was inappropriate and it was asinine. It really was. There's no place for it. I don't get it. I mean, well, I guess there is a place for it, but the locker room isn't one. I don't know. Tom Kelly checking in from the Cole County Entertainment guys. Be sure to check them out on Facebook and all the other social media platforms. Cole County Entertainment. They do some great shows there. Like one show that Tom Kelly's on is the Patterson Ave Fanatics, I believe. He says, "Great show, Ken." Thank you, sir. Get healthy soon, Tom. A little bit of a hospital stay there. I hope you're feeling better. Get well soon. And it's almost football season, so there we go. All right, so off of the Christian Wilkins smooching people in the locker room, move on to the depth charts. Go over these real quick, and I'm going to get the hell out of here. So looking at the offensive depth chart, I'm just going to go ahead position by position. And this is early. We'll know more later in the week as an absolute depth chart. So quarterback, obviously, Geno Smith, Kenny Pickett. Running back, Ashton Jeanty. Now, this depth chart has Raheem Mostert, Zamir White. I could see Raheem Mostert, Zamir White being flip-flopped, but I'm fine with that. Ashton Jeanty, Mostert, Zamir White. Wide receivers, your starting wide receivers. They have Jakobi Meyers, Amari Cooper, and Dante Thornton. I could see Trey Tucker starting, but Dante Thornton had a very good preseason, so I wouldn't be too surprised by that. And your backups being Jack Besh and Trey Tucker. I think it's Besh. I heard it two different ways. I heard Beck. I heard Besh. I don't know what to call the dude. So your starters: Myers, Thornton, Cooper. Left tackle Colton Miller, your blindside guy. It's a hope for a better season than last year from Colton Miller as he was returning from a whole slew of injuries. So hopefully he got his footing under him and he can return back to form as one of the better left tackles in the league. Your left offensive guard looks like it could be Dylan Parham. Your center, still surprising to me. The whole, I thought I penciled Jackson Powers Johnson as your starting center because I thought last season when he was at guard he did okay, but when they put him at center, I felt like the offensive line just flowed better, it looked better. But I'm not a coach, so right now your center is Jordan Meredith, and we'll see how that goes. That experiment goes. I don't know how much center play he's had before this preseason, but he hasn't done a terrible job. He's done all right. Still a lot to learn for him. Your right guard, Jackson Powers Johnson, and right offensive tackle last year was a rookie, DJ Glaze. So now this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Your backups, left tackle, Raiders third round pick Charles Grant, left guard, Raiders third round pick Caleb Rogers, center Will Putnam, right guard Alex Kappa, a free agent the Raiders just picked up this past season, And then right offensive tackle, Stone Forsythe. And that, again, that's somebody that's familiar with Pete Carroll and Pete Carroll likes. And so if I'm DJ Glaze, my butthole puckers a little bit. And DJ Glaze better show out, or you're going to see Stone Forsythe in there. And then he also talked about Stone Forsythe being your swingman, being able to play left, right, and multiple positions. Tight ends: Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, and Ian Thomas. A lot of hype for Michael Mayer this year. A lot of expected out of him, and hopefully we finally get to see it. I felt like the man was not utilized right his rookie season by Josh McDaniels, and then last year with some mental issues or whatever it was that he had going on, and then just ineptitude on offense that the Raiders had last season. It wouldn't matter if who it was, well, actually Brock Bowers and like I said, and Jakobi Meyers had a great season last year receiving, but still he was behind last season. We'll just say it. Michael Mayer was behind this year. So a lot of people are expecting great things out of Michael Mayer this year. So am I. I really am. I think this might be his coming out party, and this could determine his future with the Raiders as well. It's coming into his third season. With him being a second-round pick, I'm not sure how much Raider control they have. I think 4 years for a second-round pick, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure what control they have over that draft pick. I think first round could 5, and second round 4, or is it 4 for the first round, 3 for second? I'm not really sure. But this is going to determine probably his Raider future, whether or not he's with the club. Do they look to trade him away? Do they release him in the future, or what have you? So that's your offense. I like it. I really do like this offense. I feel like this offense is going to be much improved. I'm excited to see Ashton Jeanty. I do think he's going to be on a carry count. Just by the amount of touches he had last season at Boise State. I went over that many months ago before the draft. It's like, I want to say it was like 500 and some touches, between rushing and receiving the ball. But so I'd imagine him on a bit of a touch count there. So we might see a bit of Raheem Mostert there, third down, some third down spots. He has a third down back, maybe. Zamir White, we could see maybe Zamir White spell Ashton Jeanty in a couple series or whatever. We'll see what happens. Because we do know Ashton Jeanty is a workhorse. He can go every possession. Do you want him to go every possession? I don't think so. If you want this guy for more than one year of his career. I'm super excited to see what these with Dante Thornton Jr. and Jack Betch can do. I'm really excited to see that. Again, everybody's super high on Jack Betch. I can't say his name. It's a four-letter word. I can't do it. Is it Betch? Betch? Is it Jack Betch? I don't know. But I heard it so many different ways. It doesn't matter. And the offensive line, I'm excited for the offensive line. I'm a little bit nervous about the offensive line, though. I just, some guys in different positions. DJ Glaze, a little bit nervous about him at right tackle still. He did all right last season as a rookie, but he needs to take that next step. So we'll see what happens there. I'm a huge fan of Jackson Powers Johnson. I think he could be a phenomenal offensive lineman. I liked him at center. And some of the stuff that I heard about out of training camp is they really like him at guard just because of his aggressiveness, his tenacity, and his bully mentality. They want that at guard, and his mobility. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. The mayor of Las Vegas, Rob Hefner, checking in. He said, "Happy Labor Day, Bat Fry. Looking forward to Ashton Jeanty." Absolutely. Everybody is. I think he's going to be on a carry count, Rob. What do you think? I think we see. I'm not talking like 10 carries a game. I'm talking maybe some games we see him carrying or touching the ball 20 to 25 times. Maybe there's some games where we're looking 15 to 20. Maybe a couple less than normal. Maybe Raheem Mostert or Zamir White get a little bit more touches than normal. And Maury Cooper, he's coming in. He said he has unfinished business. What does he bring to the table? I'm excited to see that as well. Now moving on to the defensive side of the ball here. Of course, some obvious is Max Crosby. Of course, he's your defensive end, left defensive end. Adam Butler, defensive tackle. And here's where it gets a little bit interesting. Like, where do you go with the other defensive tackle that was occupied, by by Christian Wilkins. Why can I remember that man's name? Why? I don't get it. I cannot remember Christian Wilkins for the life of me. But anyway, uh, yeah. So who fills in that spot? Thomas Booker the fourth, who the Raiders traded for right before the well, I guess right at the start of preseason camp. They traded the cornerback who Jesus, I could say I could Agent Zero, I call him. I can't think of what his name is right now either. It's a little bit warm in this room right now. I'm starting to sweat a little bit. So, but anyway, his name Agent Zero. What the hell was his name? But he's in Philly now, and I feel like he's going to do a great job. He was probably our best cover guy last year. Didn't have any interceptions, but he had quite a few pass breakups, and and the reason the Raiders traded him away, they weren't really all that high on him. I think they had him on third in the depth chart, early depth charts. They weren't high on him because of his size, and I don't. That's one thing I don't understand. It's not the size of the dog. It's the it's the bite or the bark or whatever. I don't know. Whatever it is, it's not the bark or the size. It's the bite that count. And I feel like he was somebody that could have really helped us in the secondary, but instead we're going to struggle in the secondary. I don't get it. I really don't. But anyway, we got Rob commenting here. He says I could see him splitting carries with. I could see this time winning 10 games. Yeah. So yeah, and I could see him splitting time, but I also could see the Raiders. I'll talk about the Raiders. My prediction next episode. So I don't want to spoil it or anything like that, as I'll do a game by game prediction as I talk about the schedule next episode. But anyway, I could see Thomas Booker starting there at right defensive tackle. I also could see a bit of Tyree Wilson as well. I like Tyree Wilson in the tackle spot. I really do. He hasn't shown a whole lot out of defensive end, but he's a little bit undersized to be a defensive tackle. But if you want to go, speed, mobility on the inside, throw Tyree Wilson in there. But I think we could see Thomas Booker the fourth starting at defensive tackle. Maybe Leaky Fotu, JJ Pegues, who the Raiders drafted in the sixth round this year. It could be him as well. Defensive end, we're looking at Malcolm Kuntz making his return from ACL surgery. So we'll see how he is to start. I could see him maybe being trickled in there, weaned into the starting defensive line. Meaning I wouldn't expect him to see out there a whole lot. I like a play count, basically. I kind of build his tolerance up as the season goes, because you don't want to throw him right out there for 80 snaps or whatever amount that is. Just rushing. I would feel probably 2, 3, 4 weeks we could see him on the injured list, and we don't want that. So I think they should slowly incorporate him in and go from there. So Malcolm Kuntz, Charles Snowden, Tyree Wilson at defensive end. I do like that. Your linebacking core, I don't know what to think about it. Jermaine Pratt, Devin White, Landon Roberts, all new. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why they just wouldn't re-sign Robert Spillane. But and that's who we get to face there week 1 in New England. So I just super bummed about it. They say Landon Roberts from Pittsburgh is cut from the same cloth. I don't buy it. I really don't. Then we have backups: Cody Lindenberg, Tommy Lindenberg. I'm sorry, Cody Lindenberg, Tommy Eichenberg. Cody Lindenberg was a 7th round pick this year. Tommy Eichenberg was a rookie last season. Hopefully he gets a little bit of scratch this year. We'll see what happens. And Jamal Adams, that's somebody that they were trying out there at linebacker. I think he was a former safety. And he looked well in a couple of the preseason games, but he also looked a little bit behind, a little bit lost. So we'll go from there. Your cornerbacks: Eric Stokes, DeCam Richardson, possibly Darnay Holmes, Caillou Blue Kelly, and Darian Porter, who was a 3rd round pick for the Raiders this past year. So looking at Stokes, Richardson, your nickelback, maybe Darnay Holmes. I don't know, or do you have Stokes and Caillou Blue Kelly and D-Cam as your nickelback. We'll have to wait and see. Strong safety, Isaiah Polamau. I like Isaiah Polamau. Still has a lot of refining to do yet, but I like his aggressiveness. It makes people wary of going across the middle, and that's good. That's good to have. Chris Smith II. I'm not sure about that. And then Jeremy Chin, another offseason acquisition. Should be solid there. We'll see what happens. He was solid with Washington last year, with the Washington Redskins. So, and I'm going to call them the Redskins. I don't care. So that's our depth chart. So your thoughts on that? And so that's all I have for today. That's all I wanted to get through today. Like I said, next episode, I'm going to do a talk to Raiders schedule, give my prediction as to what I think the season could look like, wins and losses. Maybe even throw out like a team offensive MVP, preseason, team defensive preseason MVP kind of thing, and go that route. And also, what else? There was something else I wanted to do too. Wins, losses, schedule. Oh, and a preview of their game against the Patriots. Was what I think. What to watch out for there, and all that good stuff. All right. So before I get out of here, one last thing from me. You want to help me out? As you hear me stutter and ramble and forget people's names, head on over to W Energy Drink at www.w.gg for the Jitterless Energy Drink. Use my promo code TheBatCave. That's all one word, The Batcave, just as you see on your screen there. Capital T, capital B, capital C for The Batcave, all one word, for 10% off your order at W Energy Drink. A lot of good products there. Again, jitterless. So that's why I like it. I don't like the jittery energy drinks because I don't like feeling like I'm going to die every time. So I don't want to feel like I'm having a heart attack, and W doesn't do that. So I dig that. And be sure to like and follow us, Out of the Box Sports Entertainment, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, X, TikTok. You see it scrolling down there at the bottom. And also be sure to check out the Cole County Entertainment guys. Great group of guys there. Some good shows there as well. And be sure to check out all of our shows here on Out of the Box Sports. Silver and Black Lair, my other show, Silver and Black Lair LA Kings. I'll be starting that back up here very soon. The Batcave I do with New York Mets. I'll be going live Wednesday. So they're still doing that. The Cowboys Weekly. We have the Sully Squad will be live tomorrow night. Usually it's Monday nights. It'll be live tomorrow night. So be sure to check that out. The NFC East War Room. Check that out. Golden Dome podcast, UFC podcast, a whole host of different things. The Big Blue Power Hour. So be sure to check all that stuff out. And yeah, thank you everybody for checking the show out. I appreciate it. And until next time, just win, baby. See it.
Getting strong, let's break the mold. Chasing the stories yet untold. Passion ignites like a blazing fire. Knowledge takes us higher, higher. Out of the box where the wild ones play. We see the game in a whole new way. Living loud, hearts in motion. Sports with soul, pure devotion. The field's alive with endless dreams. We're more than stats, we're the in-between. A slam dunk thought, a touchdown mind. Out of the box every time. No limits, no change, no walls to climb. We'll rewrite